Have you ever given brilliant advice to a friend and then failed to follow that same advice yourself? Like, forget her, you deserve better. And then you clung to a toxic relationship as if it were the last slice of pizza. If that's ever happened to you, then this video is for you. Today, we're talking about the Solomon paradox. And trust me, you'll be surprised by how much this phenomenon affects you, actually affects all of us, every single day. If you want, write in the comments the best advice you've ever given and never followed. I'll tell you one right away, one of the thousands I give on this channel. But then I'm the first one to fall for it and not follow it sometimes. Stay calm and think rationally without being overwhelmed by your emotions. And I swear, I do my best to follow this rule, and I usually manage to apply it pretty well. But just recently, I totally lost my temper in a ridiculous way while trying to assemble a couple of IKEA furniture pieces by following the instruction manual. Thank God there are kind souls here on YouTube who explain the steps one by one, because I was this close to throwing the furniture out the window. So much for staying calm. There. I admitted my weakness. Now it's your turn. And make sure you watch the video until the end, because I'll reveal some simple but genius strategies to stop falling into this mental trap. The Solomon paradox is named after the legendary biblical king, famous for his wisdom. Remember the story of the two women fighting over a baby? He proposed cutting the baby in half, and that's how he exposed the real mother. Brilliant, right? And yet, according to tradition, in his private life, Solomon made choices. Pretty questionable ones. Like marrying hundreds of women, already an act of masochism in itself, and then letting himself be influenced to the point of compromising the stability of his kingdom. So here's the paradox. You can be extremely wise when advising others, but completely irrational when you have to make decisions for yourself. In 2015, psychologist Igor Grossman studied this phenomenon and confirmed it experimentally. People show more wisdom, logic, and emotional distance when reflecting on problems that involve others, compared to the same problems when they're experiencing them firsthand. Think about it. When a friend tells you about romantic drama, you become a Greek philosopher. You tell them, look, if it makes you feel bad, if they don't respect you, then you deserve more. Cold, clear, objective. But when you're facing the exact same situation, you find 1,000 excuses. Yeah, but maybe they're going through a tough time. Maybe I'm the problem. I'll text them one more time and then I'm done. I swear, I swear, I swear. Yep. When it's about other people, you see everything from the outside. When it's about you, it's like trying to solve a puzzle while you're inside the puzzle. It happens because emotions blur your vision. It's as if your brain becomes a confused consultant with a conflict of interest. Let's look at a few concrete examples. In love, your friend texts you, they haven't replied in 3 days. Should I text again? And you, no, enough. Dignity first. Then it's your turn. They leave you on red and don't reply. And you go, maybe their phone fell into a lake. Maybe they lost their memory. Maybe they love me but they don't know it. We're world champions at self-deception, or at work. A friend says, I don't feel valued. I'm afraid to change jobs. And you, if they don't value you, leave. Get out of your comfort zone. Then it's your turn. You have a toxic boss, a ridiculous salary, you're stressed. But you say, yeah, but honestly, the coffee here is good. And with money? You tell a friend, save money every month. Don't waste it on useless stuff. Then you go on Amazon and buy an electric avocado slicer with LED lights. Be honest, you have a rational side that you only use for other people. Now back to us. What makes us so wise? Only when it's about other people's lives. What's happening is a phenomenon called psychological distancing. When you analyze someone else's life, you do it with a cool, detached mind. You don't feel threatened, your identity or your ego isn't on the line. But when you have to analyze your life, fears, insecurities, and hopes come into play. Clarity goes on vacation. Your brain switches into self-esteem defense attorney mode and starts justifying everything. But here's the good part. You can overcome the Solomon paradox. Here are some practical techniques you can start using today. 1. Talk to yourself in the third person. When you have to make an important decision, ask yourself, what would I say to Mark in this situation? Or, if a close friend were going through this, what would I advise them? This small trick creates mental distance and helps you think more clearly. 2. Write your situation as if it were someone else's. Grab a sheet of paper and write, "A friend of mine is facing this problem. What would I tell them?" Read it out loud. It will feel like you're listening to someone else's story, and it will give you a new perspective. 3. Postpone the decision by 24 hours. When you're too emotionally involved, wait. Give it a day. Emotions settle down and rationality returns. It's like waiting for the smoke to clear before deciding whether the house is actually on fire or you just burned the dinner. 4. Ask for advice, but only from the right person. Find someone who has already overcome similar situations, not someone who only tells you what you want to hear. Sometimes you need a mirror, not a microphone. 5. Practice regular self-reflection. Each week, take a few minutes to write, what decisions did I make this week? Would I recommend them to someone else? This helps you build consistency and self-awareness. So, the Solomon paradox shows you that you're often wise, but only halfway. The good news? You can learn to bring that same wisdom inward. Now it's your turn. Write in the comments. What's a piece of advice you give often but struggle to follow? Let's share it, laugh about it, and grow together. And remember, wisdom isn't knowing what to say. It's having the courage to listen to the advice you would give someone else and follow it, even if the someone else is you. So stop preaching well and practicing poorly unless you're assembling IKEA furniture using their instruction manual, in which case, do whatever you want, damn them.